Welcome to Business Exit Success, the podcast dedicated to helping small business owners on how they can successfully transition out of their business on their terms while also living a life of purpose and fulfillment after the sale. I am your host, certified financial planner and certified exit planning advisor, Tom Poltersdorf. What do you do when you receive an out-of-the-blue email from an acquirer interested in learning more about your business for a potential acquisition? This is what we're diving into today. We will discuss how do you respond? Should you take an initial phone call? If you set up a call, what should you expect? And what questions will you receive? Along with what should you ask? I recently did one of these calls and wanted to create an episode on it, because if you haven't gone down this road yet, there's this excitement and curiosity to engage in a conversation with someone interested in your business. But there's also a sense of uncertainty on the business owner side, especially if you're unfamiliar with how the selling process works. So the first step I would recommend when someone emails you with an interest in your business and they want to set up an initial phone call is identify who is reaching out to you and see if it's actually legitimate. In my client's case, the sender included his name, company, and website, as well as info on his client who was interested in exploring an acquisition. There was a link to a LinkedIn profile to check out. I also explored the website of their company and looked up their team page to make sure they were actually listed. And in most cases, you can read more about their background and history in the industry. This is great insight to have, and you can gather questions if you hold an initial phone call. In my case, the acquirer was a mergers and acquisitions company representing a private equity firm. So on the private equity company's website, I was able to find their current portfolio of companies, which are businesses they recently acquired and are working with, as well as past clients they've worked with. Now, some of you may be asking, why is this beneficial to take the time and investigate? First, this doesn't take long, folks. It doesn't take that long at all to do. And it can help you understand if the private equity firm only works with specific types of niche businesses. And if your business fits that mold, then that tells you, okay, they have experience working with companies that are similar to mine. Now, maybe your type of business doesn't fit their niche per their website. That's an opportunity for when and if you do have a phone call with them to ask them, hey, I noticed your past clients are mainly within this type of industry. We are in a completely different industry. What potential do you see in my business post-acquisition? Great question to ask. You'll get a much better understanding of what the PE firm is looking for and what they see as potential value within your company. This is great information to have, folks. Now, real quick, I do want to explain private equity because in this case, it was a PE firm that was reaching out. It could be a broker reaching out. It could be anybody reaching out. It's not always a PE firm. So in very simple terms, private equity is like a real estate agent that buys and flips houses. They look for a house where they see potential. They buy it. They put money into the house to fix it up and then sell it for a profit. Private equity is the same thing, but they're buying businesses. They typically want to purchase 50% or more of a business and continue to work with you on cleaning it up with the intention to sell it 3 to 5 plus years down the road. So back to our email scenario. You've received an email with an interested acquirer, you've looked up their names, checked out their websites, and you decide to schedule an introductory call. Let's talk about what happens on the phone call, how much information you should share about your company, and some tips. For the initial phone call, you want to go into the call with an exploratory mindset and well thought out questions to understand why this person is interested in your business, while also not giving away specifics about your business, your customers, or your financials. And I'll talk about what not to do on the call shortly, so we'll dig into that soon. But real quick, some questions for you to ask can include, what's your investment criteria or your search profile when looking at businesses to acquire? What about my business makes it an interesting acquisition? What would be your goals and objectives in acquiring my business? See, the goal is to really get an understanding of where they are coming from and see if they truly understand your industry. And in some cases, the reason why they're interested might actually surprise you. Some questions you can expect from an interested acquirer may include, Tell me about your business. Explain your customer base. Do you have several customers that make up the bulk of your revenue or hundreds of accounts? How big is your territory and how far does distribution go? Some tips on how to answer these questions and what not to do here. Stay high level in your responses, meaning stay away from sharing specifics on customer names, ownership structure, growth strategy, your revenue, profits, etc. No specifics. Do not state what price you would take to sell the company. Sometimes an aggressive acquirer will ask this. Any number you say will reveal too much, and for all that you know, the person on the other line could be representing a competitor of yours. They may ask why you agreed to take the call. Confirm that your company is currently not for sale. Remember, they contacted you, but you're interested in keeping an eye on the market, or you're just exploring the process. Again, this is introductory. There is no obligation on your end to say or do anything. There is no NDA or non-disclosure agreement in place that will protect you at this point. The NDA is an agreement that describes the confidential information a seller wants to disclose to that buyer with restrictions to third parties. All you have to do is respectfully decline to share financials at this point, and this is exactly what we did on the phone call. And if there is a synergy between your business and what the inquirer is looking for, it could make sense to review a non-disclosure agreement and set up a second phone call. At the same time, there may not be a fit. The timing isn't right for you and you have no interest in exploring an acquisition. Maybe there's not a synergy, right? There's no relevance in taking that next step. Say that up front and just part ways. I would suggest storing the sender's contact information in a future buyer's list folder. If they are a successful and legitimate company, they should be around a long time. And when you are ready to explore a sale or acquisition in the future, you will have their contact information to reach back out. So I will include the questions I mentioned in this episode in the show notes, and you can find those at beyondyourexitwm.com. Hey everybody, real quick before you take off, if you found this episode helpful in any way, please rate the podcast and leave a review. I would love to get your feedback and see if there are any topics you'd like to hear more about going forward. Thank you, and I appreciate you all very much.